Here I want to show you how to change the geometry by changing the length of these fins. We'll make it shorter. And before that, one point of note is that after you delete the convergence object, if you want to get the temperature on the original mesh or another results, what you have to do is you have to highlight solution in the tree, right click and say clear generated data. And then you have to resolve, and that way you will get the results on the original mesh. So let me show you how to resolve on the, with a different geometry. So what I did was I went back to the workbench window. I right clicked on the blue, in the blue region and said duplicate, and I got a duplicate system. And then I renamed that. I can pull this over here by holding down the blue box and dragging. And then I need to start SpaceClaim. So I'll say edit geometry in SpaceClaim. After SpaceClaim comes up, you should see something like this. And one thing I wanted to note here is that when I brought this in from the original CAD, I did an additional step. I went to Workbench and I shared the topology, which you don't have to do here. And what that does is when you bring it into mechanical, you have, instead of 3 parts here, you have 1 part and 3 subparts. That's what the shared topology does. And the advantage of this is if I go into the mesh and look at the the region between the parts, the nodes are shared. If you don't do that, the nodes won't be shared. You'll still get a reasonable solution, but this is really the clean way to do it unless you have a compelling reason for these to be separate parts. Okay, let me get out of mechanical here and get into SpaceClaim. So I want to change the length. And first let me measure the current length. So if I go into the measure tab, hit measure, zoom in a little bit and select that line that it's 100 millimeters. I want to change that to 60 millimeters. So what I'll do is I will go back to design and orient the model this way. I can also go in and select isometric, translate it by holding Control down and moving it with the middle mouse button. Okay, something like that I want. And then I will hit select, and then if I draw a box like that, it'll select those 6 faces. And then I'll select pole, and here I have to select no merge. Okay, otherwise all these will merge into one part, which is not what I want to do. And then drag this and hit space bar and enter 40, and then I can hit escape, maybe go back to select, and you can see it's gotten shorter. And if I go back and measure it now, you should see that it's 60 millimeters, which is what I want. So that's all there is to do in SpaceClaim. And I should be able to exit SpaceClaim. And now to bring in the new geometry, I have to right click and say refresh. Don't select update because you might get into an infinite loop. You just need refresh, and that'll bring in the new geometry into the previous analysis. And once the refresh is done, you should see something like that. And I just, and this shows that, a solve is needed. So I right clicked on model and started mechanical. And so I have it over here, and you see how everything's being kept, but now I have the new geometry. And so I just need to regenerate the mesh. And you see now, if you look at the number of nodes, you should see you have fewer nodes, which is what you would expect. I still have the body sizing, and then I just need to hit solve and I'll get the results on the new geometry. So if I look at the temperature, you see that the maximum temperature has changed from about 44 to 50 degrees Celsius. And so that shows you a nice way where you can just modify the geometry and redo the analysis. So save your project. So at this point, I'll save file, save, file archive, and I can overwrite everything. I'll say save or archive everything, and then I can download it using my files.